Let me tell you a story about someone we'll call Joe. Joe was having problems urinating, and he was seeing blood in his urine, and he went to his doctor to see what was going on. And his doctor told him, that's just normal. That wasn't anything to be worried about. And it continued and it got worse and worse. And finally, Joe went back to his doctor after months and months and months, complaining of the same thing. And his doctor finally did a test to determine whether there was something that may be wrong with his prostate. And he came back with some very horrible news. He told Joe, "You have prostate cancer, and it's pretty advanced." And now Joe's wondering, does he have a lawsuit? Was there a late cancer diagnosis? Hi, I'm Frank Spector, medical malpractice lawyer in Maryland and in DC. So the question is, can Joe bring a lawsuit for a late diagnosis of prostate cancer? But first, let's talk about what is prostate cancer. So every man has something called a prostate, and the statistics show that it's a very common cancer that most men over age 65 will experience some problem with their prostate, and many of them will develop prostate cancer. Now, the good news is prostate cancer can be very slow growing, and the fact that you have prostate cancer is not necessarily a cause to feel that you have a death sentence. However, if that cancer is allowed to continue to grow, and it grows outside the prostate, which is in the area of your bladder, and it spreads outside the prostate into other organs and into your bones, well, that's a big problem. So that's what a late cancer diagnosis is. So how does a doctor be able to diagnose prostate cancer? Well, most doctors do two things, and this is what doctors should do. First thing is a doctor should do what's called a digital rectal exam. Now, I'm going to get graphic here, but I think you should know the information. That doctor will insert his finger inside your rectum and will feel the prostate. And what that tells the doctor is whether there are any kind of lumps or unusual growths on the prostate. And that's been a very effective tool to be able to determine early stage prostate cancer. The second thing is a blood test. Many of you may be familiar with what's called a PSA. A PSA test is a blood test, and that measures the level of this particular antigen in your body, which can determine whether or not you may be at risk for prostate cancer. If you have positive results from any of these, meaning it shows that you may have prostate cancer, there can be more tests that are done, MRIs and things of that nature, to be able to see things more clearly. But these are two good screening tests. So in the situation I described with Joe, it was really the responsibility of the doctor to do the test, the digital rectal exam, and the blood work. And in most situations, had that been done, it would have showed that Joe had prostate cancer. And regrettably for someone like Joe, if it was done early enough, it would have shown an early cancer, and that could have been treated much more easily than having something that grows out of the prostate and is much worse. Now, what can a person do about this? What kind of lawsuit can you bring? Well, you can bring a case what's called a misdiagnosis or late diagnosis of cancer. And here's how that case works. We would obtain a medical doctor, medical expert, another urologist, another doctor who can say and will say after reviewing the medical records that an earlier diagnosis would have made a difference and that the doctor at issue did not meet the standards of care because the doctor should have done the test that I mentioned, the digital rectal exam and the blood work. And the doctor will then testify, that is the expert doctor will testify, that had those tests been done months and months and months earlier, it would have showed the early beginnings of prostate cancer. And now with the diagnosis being delayed, that cancer grew and became much worse. And in Maryland, we have a rule that says you can bring a cancer case if the cancer diagnosis resulted in you having a less than 50% chance of 5-year survival. If you would have been diagnosed early, you would have had a greater than 50% chance of survival. I know this sounds a little bit confusing, but the basic rule is that you have because of the misdiagnosis, you have a less than 50% chance of survival over 5 years. And had you been diagnosed early, you would have had a greater than 50% chance of survival. So how do we put a case like this together? Well, first, like every medical malpractice case, number one, we obtain the medical records. We want to get all the records of all the examinations that you had, all your blood work. That's number one. Number two, we'd want to get the copies of any imaging that you had, MRIs, CT scans. That will help the medical expert be able to see how long the cancer had been growing. Number three, we would consult with a medical doctor, and that medical doctor will be able to tell us whether the standards of care were met or they weren't met, and what the difference in your outcome would be now that you have a late diagnosis. You are entitled to substantial monetary compensation for a misdiagnosis or late diagnosis of prostate cancer that grows and goes into your bones and your body because your life expectancy is going to be very, very diminished. Now, every case is different, and past results don't guarantee future success. But in cases that I've handled regarding prostate cancer, we've been able to obtain significant money compensation for our clients. Now, that doesn't turn back the hands of time. I wish my clients didn't have late-stage prostate cancer, but what I do is try to help people hold doctors accountable and to get them money compensation, to try to get them money so that they can pay for any medical treatments that they have, because these treatments are very expensive, and to be able to compensate them for their emotional pain and suffering, because having a cancer diagnosis hanging over your head takes a tremendous toll, I'm sure. So this is what a prostate cancer looks like. And if you found this information valuable, please hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you can take advantage of all of my videos. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.